Okay, sorry about that. Just had some issues. OBS reset itself, and my mic didn't want to click in to the USB. So now that's all set. Let's get a quick track update going here. So this is one of the new tracks that I'm working on with sound creators. Got to get his voice into this project. If not, I'm going to try and do it myself. Other than that, I have been working pretty intently on finishing this, as it was the Neon Sky part was made a long time ago, and I finally figured out somewhere where I can use it. It's basically the story of two hackers, hence why I need Dominic's input into the vocals. If not, I can put on a voice. It's easy. Yeah, two hackers go to find this source program, and instead of hacking the program, it hacks them and it pulls them into it. And you'll see it's just got there'll probably be like a long version and a short version, so you can actually hear them get there and shut the door and start hacking and all that sort of stuff. But I just want to show you what I've gotten to, and then we're going to start making some fill effects today, finally, over in this section here. This is pretty much the mix out, and this is where the drop will be after the mix in. This will be the short version, and to here will be the to here will be the long version, extended version. Alright, so here we go.
Program ready. neon sky.
Okay, so that's that. Pretty much what I'm thinking here is let's select this part. Z. Okay, so this part here could use just a few fills to get it out and make it pop out of the mix in certain areas, particularly in these sections here. But this is pretty much, like, I'm not the biggest melody maker in the world, so it's probably why it sounds very, very tragic. And it's already in a harmonic minor, so it's already pretty deep. These sections here is where I want to add the most amount of effects, and then once those effects are in, I think I will add percussion and really make it move with the percussion. I think right here is going to have a fair few rides, like rides and hi-hats and whatnot, because this part is like, this is all that plays is the synth pretty much on top of these pads. So they can really use some movement somewhere in the spectrum where it just sort of gives it a little bit more pumping, breathing sort of action. I mean, I like the way it works with the kick. But yeah, it can always be more. So another thing is this reverse screech here needs to, is it in? No, it's not. Okay, so these two should be together in a track stack. We'll just put screech parts. So literally all I want to do here is make this sidechain to this in a particular way with the tremolo. I'm just going to speed up the tremolo. So from like say a half a step, and then speed it up as it comes into here. So it sounds like it sounds like a speed up effect, like as if for example a car taking off or whatever. So I'll quickly work on that, and then we'll start with chucking in some kick effects. And I don't think there's any other synth effects like these screeches. Pretty much they're fine by me. I'm quite happy with how they are, where they sit. I don't want to sit them to the left or to the right, or change the pattern and have them move around the stereo field. I want the kick effects to do that, because I want a really clean intro and outro for mixing, and that's usually where a lot of that happens. So go ahead and do this little trick here that I want to do. I'm going to do it after everything. So basically all I do is I get a tremolo. Now solo it. Turn that off because we don't need that. Okay, so this rate will slowly ramp up to, I think 64, 1/64. So all I do there, so I just get the rate. keep the smoothing as it is. I mean, you can always slowly fade the effect in with a smooth type of nature. Let's move. So we'll go over 3 bars there, and just move it up right until it hits DC, and then we'll repeat it there. So just like that, and that's enough to sort of cut through the mix, like let it sort of get away from the mix before it being really present, which I thought without this it sort of sits in the mix a lot. So I might even just fine tune the depth. Now what you got to remember too, once this is done, because I'm going to have it in there again, I'm going to have to turn it off. But I want to save my settings. Like as in what I've started with. So 1/2 and 100%. So if I want to come back and grab this sample, I know this one is the one that I've done it with. Just change the color. Whatever, make it pink, and that'd be that. Okay, so let's fiddle with this. Let's see how it goes like this. Cool. I dig that. Let's go. Let's see how this goes. Cool. Cool, that's exactly where I want it. Alright. So let's get into doing some effects here. Still relatively, like, haven't hit the 100 mark yet on the channels, but it's coming. It's coming. Bear in mind there's no percussion. There's at least 10 channels. There'll be maybe up to 6 different kick effects that I'll put in here. There'll also be more sweeps, so expect like another 40 channels. When you're making tracks that you really put your heart and soul into, be prepared to have a lot of channels. So start color coding all your stuff so you know where things are, and yeah, otherwise you just get lost really easily, and you'll find it very hard to get back into something. Constantly playing the same track over and over and over and over. It gets a bit tiring too, trying to find yourself in that track. So yeah, please excuse the snot that's coming out of my nose at the moment. Right, let's take this. Actually, I think we might take this one. So this is the boom. This is a kick boom that I put with the impact, and the impact is just compressed underneath it. So together it's just like this, and it's got some reverb going on in it. So the reverb send, you'll see this number 11 here is the reverb send. You'll see it change. I'll actually push that out. Okay, so I might try something. We'll just mute this because this. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want fast effects. I want to have all that. I want to have all the reverb in before I actually put it through some distortion and take the low end out and, you know, fiddle with it a bit and EQ it to make those effects. I kind of want all this reverb before I put it in. Some people do it dry first and then put the reverb afterwards. I want to do it this way so I have more to play with. So first things first. Right here is when I want to set up a fair few more channels. So I'm going to go to audio, set up, let's set up 10 more audio channels, right, directly after this. Now, because it's a single channel here, I'm going to select all that there and then turn all my master off and basically go, if you want to bounce something to this track and it's just a single file, select that, make sure that it's highlighted, and then just bounce it, project or section, and it'll bring up, right click, bounce in place, and then push it to a new selected track, and we're just going to put boom, kick, wet. Okay, don't normalize it, include all the tails and all that sort of stuff. Leave the original, you can choose to mute it, but don't need to. Alright, so that can stay off now, and we'll listen to this. Okay, so it's pretty growly. We'll take that away. Leave it in stereo, straight up. Take the 100 Hertz away. I know it's got a tough low end. Let's go for some distortion. Let's find the right note. So about 520 is where I want to set it. Leave the mix in 50. We'll drive it to about 12. Open the clip filter, and then we'll fiddle with the tone and raise some of the high end. See where we're at. So one about there, so 420, bring it back a half. Yes, I know that. Oh, excuse me. Alright, let's chuck another distortion on it. So we get this one about 40%, drive it just a little bit more. So there's less in the mix, but we're driving the signal really, really tough. So this is where the tricky part comes in. This is where I start to automate the EQ and make it move, just like you would when you're creating a kick. So I want, yeah, let's go for 3. Right, I want to automate this part. So I want band 2 or peak 2. Let's move the frequency of this. Oh no, sorry. Let's move the gain of this. So this one will go up and down. As it comes in, it'll bring more of that 200 Hertz tone in. And what's the other one? Peak 3. So peak 3 frequency will morph. It'll start here and it'll dip down. Now we just need one more. So when it's here, I'll take this one. So with that first peak, I want to send that first peak up. Creates like a cone, like a sort of sucks around the stereo field. See what we can do with some bit crushing here. Just in case we want to EQ a little bit there, keep that open. We'll go for another bit crusher. So side by side, I usually keep these side by side in case, like, this is the last one that we're doing, this is the one before it, and then we can EQ before. Alright, I don't need this anymore, that's the automation. Now, I like the way it moves. The only thing that we got to do now is figure out how much of this to put in and fiddle with this as well as the EQ, right? Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, one last little EQ movement, or maybe 2. I'm just going to control the upper frequencies. So we need 2. I'm going to control with this the high cut and another peak. This peak is going to be the one that makes all the difference. So we need high cut frequency, and we also need peak 4. TW. Okay. Seriously. Let's go like this. Okay, so I'm thinking about the end product of having one of these fill out the rest of like a couple of bars, as if you would have like a kick boom. So usually you would have these hit every beat, or have them sort of triple over the top and sort of pan them one left, right, and then in the middle, or do something crazy. But usually they just sort of fill in between the kicks. But the reason I'm wondering about this tail, like not just making all this like in this section, because this is mainly where we're going to utilize. I'm thinking about how this rolls off too, because there's going to be a lot of distortion, and what we're going to need to do, oh, that's clipping. What we're going to need to do is EQ is set up some reverb on it, just so the sound has a bit more air, and I don't send it to a delay. Let's go, I think there should be about there, 4, yeah, this quarter. And let's see this, make sure our clip volume is not on. So I'm just going to automate the reverb now. So I like the way that sits there. Even though there's a side chain on there, it's very very in your face. And the trick is to not just have it constantly sit out there. You want it to slowly just ramp out. I'm happy with that setting. Alright, so we want here. And there. So yes, it's going to be a very big file, but it's okay. Alright. Okay, so that's one kick effects. May need a few more live streams for this, but this is how long it takes. So deal with it. Alright, we'll take all that off. Alright, so kick FX 1. Right, done. Now that's TT back in. Okay, let's bounce this to here. So we'll bounce that in place. To selected track. Okay. Sample. Beautiful. So you could do something like this. Put this one all the way to the left. This one to the right. This one sits middle. And chop that. Chop that. So where are my time frames mixed up there? Now you can actually take the punch out of that, extend it like this, and then you can go in and do something like this. Need to pick a band first. What's that, band 3? Frequency. Even actually just extend that out. Is that 3? Yes. Group these 3 together in a track. It's essentially one type of kick effects, but kick effects. We're just keeping it that way. Now I don't mind if these overclip because it's going to create some really wicked fucking tones. Might just have a single shot here, and we'll go like this. Alright. Let's chuck a compressor on there. Bit heavy. And I just want to side chain it to that. I really want 100 because there's already been a different rate. Let's see what happens here. Alright, turn that on so it doesn't clip. Now, it should be high pass to, I think that's where I had it. Right. And you can go ahead and draw the wrong one, hang on. Excuse me. Alright, so that should be on the last bus. Should even mute this. And we can also EQ these now. Take out some of that high. And it's really just about playing around with the movement of the EQ now. This is why I leave it all to last, because if you do this first, you end up sort of making a hole for yourself where you just can't sort of get away from, you know, having this movement of all these effects, and they don't fit your synths, because your synths you're trying to fit around them. So try and make the track first. And I know a lot of people they put all their percussion in, and they just, like, it used to be there's a process of making a track, and it's beats, bass, chords, melody, right? Somebody ages ago made a track about it, but that's how it's always been taught. Yet once you get to a stage where you don't need that, and you know where you're putting things and how things should go, I recommend you do it this way, because a lot of the time you can make things sound really good, and then you won't fit them together. So try and fit them together first, then make them sound good. Or if that doesn't work, then shoot me. see what this is doing. Okay, so I want that there, and I want a channel EQ before. Now, understandably, this is going to push the EQ quite hard, and you can tell by this. If you turn those two off, okay, so as soon as you turn this on, it'll control it. Maybe not. Made a liar out of me. Alright, so beautiful, and now this bad boy. So I want to okay, so the reason I've done this is, you notice when I put this on, like I've got downsampling attached to this clip filter. Now what that's going to do is it's going to put this region here in a whole new aspect. You watch the peaks that come up here. Okay, there's a slight peak there, and you can see it. There's nothing here. After this, sorry, didn't have it on. So there it is. I want to accentuate that. So now you need to check this. We're still not clipping through, right? But I'm not gonna change this. I don't need to. I just adjust the gain here. Now we'll chuck this on. Really making that sample growl. So I want to bring out a bit more of the high, but I'm not going to EQ any high end content in there. I'm just basically going to scoop out some of the low to let that high come through. There you have it. One last thing, a little bit of soft compression to sort of make that sound really pop. We'll go by 50, so we'll do it at, that should be a 16th delay. We'll do it nice and sharp. Put about a 2.4 to 1, I think. And you can see we're clipping here again, which is understandable. Now we just want to adjust this. And you can notice that more of that bottom end is coming back through, right? Now what I want to do is make some movement in the sound. So I know I had left and right here before. This one is essentially on the left, but I want to move it to the right. Okay, let's go open this a bit more. So if we go ahead and open up our main pan absolute value, it should be all the way minus 64. I'm only going to bring it in about a half. Let's see how that goes. Perfect. I don't want it to fully go all the way over to the right channel. just delete that. Alright, so with this one, I kind of want to introduce a little bit more of a change with the synth that's hitting, because it's basically stabbing on the second beat of every kick. The second of every line of kick. And I just want to have this move through the spectrum again. So there'll be some highs. Right, that was done to that, and that was done to. Cool. Right. So I'm just going to make this ramp up a bit. Need to find my damn third. Three. So the reason I'm putting 2 notches here, I'm going to keep that as it is. Might even mute that kick. So what it'll do, we'll go up a little, down, and then up a bit. Alright, let's open this a bit. Now we're going to have to change all this. Drop this down, I think. No, not that. I want that to change. So it's sort of combing through it. Now, if we go ahead and put some more reverb on this sucker, I'm not going to put any delay on it just yet. I'll just have it feed through there. It's a bit much. Now this channel is probably running a bit too hot. See what some delay does to this. Now you can hear the accentuated bit crusher. Okay, so if I solo this out, right, we'll just put a better EQ spectrum looking thing on it, right? We'll do this, so it doesn't. So this is not going. This is the sound not going to the master bus. Oh, sorry. This is the this is the sound going to the master bus. This is not after all my master chain. So the 1K region can probably do with a deduction, just in my personal experience. And that'll even up the sound. And you can even change this. Change the distortion. Alright. Let's mute those. I don't want them to be like, I don't want to forget about them and then oh, what the fuck happened there? For some reason they are popping through the channel, that is that's why. Rookie mistake. Okay, so mute that too. Don't need that anymore. That was the original starting of the kick, and you can go ahead and utilize that too if you want. Make some more different effects to it, but I'm quite happy with the way that this has come out. And now what's left for me to do is basically go through and figure out where and how I want them to sit within the mix. So there'll be a lot more effects basically.
Program ready.
So we put that there.
Program ready. Program ready. Program ready.
Nah.
Program ready.
Could put a, I mean, there probably won't be any percussion there, right in that last bar 124 to 125. So I'll leave that blank because I want program ready to be pretty prominent in that mix. There's not much vocals in this track. It's mainly just a scene. So like with this.
Neon sky. Neon. Neon sky. Neon sky.
might even change the movement again with another EQ. And I think also too, I might put a tremolo on there just to do some modulation, the same way I done before, except I'll start it at a quarter note this time and change it again. So we'll make the effect first and then fiddle around with the EQ. Alright, so we're going to change the rate here. One thing to remember, you want the depth as well, so you are not always having that pumping sidechain feel. So just on this, just want that like that. Alright, when it's off. So 100% now, tag that out when it's off. Alright, so maybe move it to, we'll have it change right there. Like this. See what happens here. Yeah, it needed that high end. Okay. I want to copy that. Now this needs to go into all of these. So before the compressor, paste it, right? This one now will become a different peak. So I'll turn that off, just so I'm reminded of where it is. And let's see if we can make some movements here. Yeah, make it really fucking edgy. Alright, so our tremolo is good. Now we'll chuck in this peak, which is peak 3 frequency. Right, it's at 94. I think it was meant to be. It should probably change about there. And drop it, then come back up. It's just a bit too high. Keeps happening with that. So it won't let me, why would it let me play there? Hey, with that, yes, that's here. Or is it? Where did that one sample go? There we are. Alright. That's the one. So I'm basically just going to smooth these out now. And last but not least, I don't want this sample to sort of smash like right in your face straight away, so I'm going to just have a listen at how this first of all brings into the sound. Alright, so let's change the low cut frequency from being 20 Hertz to to right about there, and TW, have that filter in like this. And probably a bit more. So yeah, all that's left for me to do now is basically just filter with a lot of things, and just place stuff around, and yeah, I will probably live stream when I've fixed all that up, and I think the next stream will be based on making the intro and outro, or maybe we'll just look at getting all the percussion in and creating a new rhythm with the percussion underneath everything, and seeing where I want to make them feels, because there's still a lot of I mean, this is only 70% done really. Having percussion in there means you can have 3 to 4 to whatever, how many patterns you want, as in like build-ups and chorus rhythms and all that sort of different jazz. So yeah, we'll get to some sampling later, and maybe make one more sort of kick effects change, or I might keep with this sound and we'll just make a few more different movements, put them on different channels, and yeah, let that be that. So till then,